Hi everybody, it's Gemma. Welcome back to Pampered Wolf. Today we're going to be talking all about brow placement, brow trimming, brow shaping, brow tweezing in your own home. So if you are the sort of person that's never done this before, maybe you go to a brow bar or a salon every couple of weeks to have your brows maintained, then this is definitely a video that you might want to watch. Please make sure you have liked, you have subscribed, and you've hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. I'm also on Instagram if you want to follow me on there. It's at Pampered Wolf, all lowercase, no spaces. So I've actually filmed a couple of videos very similar to this around about a year ago. One was on brow placement and one was on how I actually do my brows. And I thought I would, considering we are all at home at the moment, combine the two, make it really concise, make it really easy to follow so that everybody can have a go at doing their own brows in their own home really, really successfully and very, very easily. So the first step we're going to go through is brow placement. So I get asked about brow placement all the time. What is the most flattering position for your eyebrows to start? Where should the arch be? Where should your eyebrows end? And quite frankly, this is going to be different on every single person. It all depends on face shape, features, how far your eyes are apart, and also personal preference. If you want to start your eyebrows here and finish your eyebrows all the way down here, then that is exactly what you should do, and you shouldn't let any guidelines dictate what you should do with your features on your face. But there are some guidelines if you are at a complete loss on where to begin. I'm going to talk you through those guidelines, but please make sure you are aware these guidelines are not going to work for absolutely everybody. They are just a guide. So pop a straight edge up to the corner of your nose and go up vertically, and this is the position that the guidelines suggest that you should start your brows. Now this works for me and it looks very, very flattering, but if you've got quite a wide nose, then the guidelines might suggest that you start your brow really quite far back, and that would look a little bit odd. So for anybody that has quite a wide nose or eyes that are quite far apart or close together, I would suggest that you go from the inner corner of the eye and go straight up, and that would look far more flattering. If you want a guideline on where the arch should go, you take a straight edge, go from the bottom of the nose all the way through the pupil, and that is where it's suggested that the arch should fall. And if you want a guideline to see where your brow should finish, you go from the bottom of the nose with a straight edge, line it up with the corner of the eye, and that is where it suggests that your brow should finish. Again, do what looks best on your face and what you're comfortable with. Now, no two brows are the same. Brows are said to be sisters, not twins. I've always said that my brows, one of them at least, was adopted because they are so different, and one of them is really unruly and never wants to do what I want it to do. So when I'm planning out my brows, I always try and make sure that even though my brows are completely different, I don't try faffing too much to get them to look identical, because you'll be there for hours. What I do try and do is get the levels at the same angle. And what I mean by that is, if you were to put a straight edge on your forehead, if your brow here finishes here at the highest point, I would always try and get this brow to finish here at the highest point. It doesn't matter if this one finishes over here and this one finishes over here. If they are at the same height, then they will look a lot better. Again, with the arch, I try and get the arch at the same height on each side, even though one might be over here and one might be over here. And where I finish my brows, I also try and get that on the same height as well. Your brows will look far more similar doing it this way than if you spend hours trying to get your brows absolutely identical, which is nigh on impossible. So if you were an over-tweezer like I was in my late teens and early 20s, and you hardly have any brow hairs there to maintain, and the ones that you do have all grow in the wrong place, which is really, really annoying, and you're wanting fuller, thicker brows, then I highly recommend a product called Revita Brow. Now, I've used Revita Lash in the past, which is from the same company, and had great success for a really long time with that product. I haven't actually tried Revita Brow, but I've heard extremely good things from all of the Pampered Wolf Pack who have tried it in the past, and also some of my friends who've tried it as well. It thickens the brow hairs that are already there, making the brows look a lot fuller, and it will also stimulate new brow hair growth in the areas that you apply the product. I trust the Pampered Wolf Pack, and if they recommend a product, I will definitely recommend it to you. Okay, so my first tip, and this is so super important, if you want to do your brows quickly and accurately without making any mistakes or slippages whatsoever, then before you pick up those scissors or those tweezers, you need to fill in your brows. At least make sure that the outline of where you want your brows to sit is completed and clearly visible. You can use any product whatsoever. It doesn't need to be an eyebrow product. It can be a lip product. It can be bright red. It can be blue if you want to, but it needs to be clearly visible. So do your outline. I'm going to be using my NYX microbrow pencil, which is what I would usually use anyway, and I'm just going to fill in my brows the way that I would do normally on a daily basis. If you want to use the guidelines at this stage to figure out where your brows should start, you can do that. And I am just clearly filling these in. Okay, so that's one done. Then I move on to the other side. And when I do the other side, this is my unruly one. I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but when I do it, I'm trying to make sure that where this sits, this runs horizontally and then sits at the same level. And exactly the same as the highest point of this brow is at the same level on this side. Doesn't need to be in the same place, but it's at the same level. So once you're happy with how your brows look, obviously you filled them in, they will look quite boxy at this stage, don't worry, you're not going out like this just yet. Once you're happy with the levels that you've created, my second tip is to get some transparent soap. Another really important tip, which will become clear a little bit later on. This will make it so much easier for you to trim your brows and make sure that you are completely accurate and you have no slips. So you just take your soap, you add a little bit of water to the surface of it. I'm really lazy and I'm nowhere near a bathroom, so I'm taking some Urban Decay priming spray, just adding a little bit of that to the surface of the soap, taking a spoolie, and I'm just going to rub the spoolie and massage the spoolie into the soap until it's completely covered with a white silky emulsion of soap. And then I'm going to completely cover the hairs with the soap and drag them upwards. Really important, drag them upwards and make sure they are out of the way. So once you've done that, you just want to go back in with your brow pencil and make sure that the outline that you drew earlier is still clearly visible. You don't need to fill in the entire of the brow, just make sure that you have the outline set out. So once you have your outline well and truly visible, that is when you pick up your tweezers and you tweeze out any hair that doesn't fall within the boundary of the outline of your brows. So I have quite a few stray hairs. If you are lucky enough to have bushier eyebrows, you probably have a few more than I will. You can just pluck them out, but if you want to, if it's quite painful for you, just pull the skin back slightly just to make it more taut. It'll hurt less, but I've done this for such a long time, I don't really feel the pain as much anymore. It does get easier over time. This method will make sure that you don't over tweeze your brows, which is so easy to do. Really easy to take too many hairs when you get slightly carried away. But as we've already done the outline of the brows, you can tell exactly which hairs you need to take away and which hairs you need to leave well alone. So once you've tweezed all those unwanted hairs away and you're left with the shape that you want, now is the time that you can trim the brows. Now you may feel like you don't need to trim your brows, in which case you can take all the soap out of your brows and get on with your day, and this is where it stops for you. However, if you're anything like me, if you like to style your brows on a daily basis as if they've been laminated, then this is a really important step, because this is the step that will make everything look really neat to allow you to make your brows look bushier throughout the day. Now, the most important step in this process you've already done, and that's to rub the transparent soap through the eyebrows. Now, the reason this is such an important step is because the transparent soap thickens each individual eyebrow hair, making each individual hair very, very clearly defined and very easy to see. It also styles it and sticks it in place so it can't move, making it so much easier to trim, and now making it so that you don't need 10 hands in this process. You don't need a comb in one hand trying to tighten the eyebrow hairs. You don't need a hand up here tightening the skin. You don't need a hand over here with the scissors. And you don't need to be wondering constantly, oh my goodness, the comb is hiding the hairs and I don't know what I'm cutting and what I'm not. And that is when mistakes happen. This way, you can clearly see each individual hair. You need one hand, you need one pair of scissors, and the trick is just to go really slowly. Just take your time, super, super easy. This is a pair of nail scissors. This is not the pair of nail scissors with a curve on it. This is a straight pair of scissors. It is extremely sharp with a very fine point on the end. And I love this pair of scissors. They're really, really accurate. Now, if you have a shaky hand, I really recommend that you rest your hand on something and bring your head to your hand rather than bringing your hand to your head. Now, I don't have a shaky hand, but I do like to rest my head on my hand to make sure that my head doesn't move, because one slight movement and I'm missing an eye, so I really don't want that. So I'm going to bring the scissors up and I can clearly see the guideline of where I have drawn on the eyebrow. I'm not going to cut directly to that line. I'm going to go above it because I like my eyebrows to look a little bit bushier and a little bit unruly. I don't like them to look too precise. So I'm going to bring my scissors up to that line and go probably a couple of millimeters above where I drew the outline of the brow. And I'm just going to cut each individual one. So I'm bringing the scissors directly towards the face with the points directly to the skin, and then pinching and just snipping the top of the hairs. And you can just go across and keep trimming those hairs as you want them. If you need to, you can go back in with the soap and just make sure that all the hairs are still sticking up. So once I've trimmed my brows exactly how I want them and they're all looking a lot neater than they did before, I then go back with my tweezers and just take out any stray hairs from above the brows that are unwanted and unnecessary, just to tidy things up. So that is it. That is how I trim, I style, I shape, I tweeze my brows at home. I really hope you found this useful. If you don't like the Hollywood brow look and you want to remove the soap from your brows, you can then style them exactly how you would do usually. Or if you're anything like me and really like that brow laminated look, you can just add a little bit more brow product to the soap and go out like that. I really like the look. Do let me know what you think in the comments section below. All the products that I've used today will be listed in the description box. All those links are affiliate links, which means that if you click on them and decide to go shopping, I will earn a small commission, which I can then reinvest into my channel. Thank you very much if you've done that already or you're planning on doing that in the future, but there's never any pressure on this end. You buy the products from wherever you want to. Thank you very much for watching. See you all in the next video. Bye everyone.